everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a DIY to share with you. Finally. This project has been on the back burner for quite some time. As a matter of fact, when I first started my channel about a year ago, my granddaughter sent me a photo, I think it was on Facebook, of a shelf guitar just like this one. I've been on the hunt for a guitar ever since. I look at the thrift stores. You know, with COVID, it was really hard to find anything. Anyway, long story short, I was cleaning a hall closet out, and lo and behold, there was my youngest daughter's old guitar from way back when. I asked her if she still wanted it. She said no. I told her what I wanted to do. She said absolutely. So anyway, if you want to see how I made it, and with the help of my hubby, he did some cuts for me. Let's get started. So the first thing we needed to do is cut out the front panel of the guitar. So he took his skill saw and he just cut in, out the shape of the guitar and around the neck, and it came out pretty easy. So the next thing I needed to do was make some templates for my husband to cut out. We have this kick paneling, we redid our pantry. So, the kick that goes underneath, where your toes kick, it's called a kick. That's the best way I can describe it. There it is there. We had some left over, so I thought this would be a perfect shelf for this guitar. So I just measured out the width right onto the foam board, drew a line, and then cut it out with my rotary cutter. And then once I got that cut out, then I cut little notches. That way there was the piece of the bone that goes around the guitar, it was raised, so we cut out little notches so the shelf would fit flat against the back of the guitar. So I'll just let you watch and see how we did this part of it, and I'll play some music for you and enjoy. So you see here, before I decided to actually measure it with a tape measure, I was just kind of gonna cut as I go and kind of fit it in there, but I cut it too short. And yeah, it's always good to use a tape measure when you're dealing with this kind of stuff. But because I was dealing with that curve there, I didn't know quite how to measure it. So again, I just hit or miss, did the best I could, and just measured as I went. So after many tries, I finally got out the tape measure, like I said, and what I did is I measured longer than what I needed, and then I just kind of cut it down from there. That was the best way I figured out how to do this. So once I got my length good, then I made my notches, and first we laid the paneling down and then flipped it up, if that makes sense. And those little notches allowed us to flip it back up because of that curve. I wanted the shells to be as close to the sides of the guitar as I could get them. So that's how we did that part. And here I'm getting ready to cut little notches out, and here I just eyeballed it and got it, you know, cut it as I went. And yeah, so once I got the notch where, you know, as deep as I needed it, see how we laid it down and then flipped it up? That was the easiest way we knew how, or I knew how, to get that board to sit up. So I know the foam board was much easier to use than actual piece of board, but it all worked out. When we did go do the cuts, we did have to trim it just ever so slightly, because it was a different thickness, but that was it. So then I sanded all the edges all the way around the whole guitar and made it all smooth as I could get it. Now there was a little bit of nicks from where my husband actually cut out the paneling, but it's going to get hidden, or not hidden, but camouflaged, I should say, in the end. So we weren't too worried. Once all the pieces were cut, I took some of the extra large paint sticks, you know, the 5-gallon paint sticks, and I cut them down to make like a support for the drawer itself. And I'm going to glue the paint stick right to the edge of where that bone is on the inside of that guitar, and that's going to create a support. So I took some Elmer's glue and I glued the shelf first to the back and to the bottom. See that bone there where my finger just was, right above that sticker? And then I'm going to glue the whole paint stick side, and and I did make sure to glue the little lines on the measuring lines on the paint stick to the board, so you won't see that once I do stain it. Then I just clamped them down together and waited until they dried. I didn't clamp all of them down because I couldn't get those big clamps in every single shelf, but that's what I did. I just glued them all down, and it worked out pretty good. Now I left that sticker in there. I just thought it added to the nostalgia of the guitar. She can take it off if she wants, and I still have some of my Old English polishing oil, the tinted kind. That's what I use to tint the whole guitar and camouflage those little nicks I was telling you about. So here I'm just gonna use my clamps and wait for this to dry. Once everything was dry, now it's time to polish. I'm using the Old English tinted polishing oil, and what I do is I mix the dark and the light together to make a medium stain. I have a hard time finding the medium Old English. I don't know why. So I just make my own, and I'm just gonna polish the whole guitar, and it made it more cohesive for one. Now I do want to say, see the bone on the inside of the guitar? It didn't take the oil as well as the outer bone, because for one, my husband cut some of it while he was cutting the panel out, and I sanded it. So whatever finish or glue or I don't know what they used on the bone itself, I sanded it away. But it was okay because on the inside of the guitar, it kind of outlined it, and I love that contrast of the light and the dark wood, and on the underside of those shells is the lighter wood as well. So it all kind of was a cohesive piece. So here I am, I'm just polishing up, and pretty much it was almost done. All I needed is to add a hanger, and I did cut a little piece of that paneling for the very bottom. See the bottom where that little block is? And I didn't glue it down because I thought I'm gonna let her decide if she wants to keep it. She can just lay it there. It's more for looks, just to put one or two little things in. And I do want to mention that these shelves are not very tall, so she will have to use, you know, smaller items. And I did show you how I added, you know, some decor in there just to give you kind of an idea on the size, the scale of it, and I'll show you that at the end. All that's left to do now is to add a hanger, and I'm going to use that little screw right there that is to hold, you know, like your strap for your guitar, and I'm just going to use that. I'm going to take apart that big piece of nautical rope, and I'm just going to use a little, you know, strip. I think there's 3 bound together or wound together, and I just took it apart, and I'll just use that as my hanger. So what I did is I just tied a piece in a knot, and then I just kind of wrapped it around that screw there, and voila, we had a hanger. And here it is, all finished. Lindsay, I hope you love it. I love it. I want to keep it. Just kidding. I do love it, but it's for you. Ask and you shall receive. Thank you everyone for watching my video. I hope I gave you some ideas. If you have an old guitar laying around, hey, make some shelves. So here it is. I just kind of staged it with some little items that I had around my home just to give you an idea how to decorate it. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.